Hey, what's up, everybody? BDF44 at you again with another video talking about the Los Angeles Lakers. Got a victory tonight at home against the Charlotte Hornets, and it was a spirited one, man. Very spirited game. No LeBron James, obviously, but we came in with a strong attitude, going up against a team that's kind of struggling right now. Had some losses coming into this game as we did. So we were both two teams trying to break those losing streaks, and we were the one that came out victorious. There was a lot of things to point out. First of all, Russell Westbrook had a triple double, big time on the rebound end of things. I think he walked away with 14 boards. Unfortunately, he had about 7 assists or 7 turnovers to go along with his triple double tonight. But all in all, I think what we saw was just him really crashing the boards very well and getting the ball to his bigs well as usual, getting lobs to our guys like DJ and Dwight Howard consistently. So that was something that really stood out in regards to him. I just love what I saw in terms of making a concerted effort to just really focus on getting each and every rebound he possibly could. His aggression tonight in that regard was what we needed. Anthony Davis was awesome. He did his thing. Hit some big shots down the stretch. Austin Reeves as well hit a nice turnaround fadeaway shot looking like Kobe Bryant. We call him Hillbilly Kobe, but he was really putting in some work tonight on both ends of the floor, doing the things that we love to see him do. Saw some really nice shots from some people tonight. Just fantastic acrobatic reverse layups. He had one. Malik Monk had one. And you talk about Malik Monk. He shot a 3 at the end of the third quarter, expiring time. It was from the K, the Laker logo, right there, slap dead in the middle of half court. He hit a 3-point shot as time was expiring. And the thing that was so impressive about it for me was just his heads up ability to see what was going on in that moment as it was progressing, to find himself coming toward the basket ball as it became loose, and then in one fluid motion he stepped into it with confidence and let that thing fly. I mean, it was almost like he was in position to anticipate what needed to be done and then execute it as if he had practiced it a million times. So that was a brilliant heads up decision by Malik Monk, and ultimately an awesome lucky shot that he made. But I was more so impressed with just in general how heads up he was in reading all of that. He has done some brilliant things, some little glimpses of brilliance where you be like, wow, his basketball IQ he allows himself to tap into some really special moments that I've been able to see with Malik Monk, man. There's a special gift that he has that I've only seen glimpses of thus far, and it's in his decision making, and it's in his basketball IQ. Just little things, you know what I mean? It's still very early in his career, and I'm not saying he's a superstar or nothing like that, but sometimes you see him and he's like, wow, that's a way above average decision, or a way above average, heads up this play that he made. Like, I used to see KCP do stuff like that early on. You'd be like, wow, you can see the potential where he's going to be a helpful player later on, because he's able to just kind of do certain things that you just need him to do. So yeah, I like what I saw out of Malik, and he's getting healthy as well, so that's very helpful. What else do I want to say? Carmelo Anthony, I mean, that's who this thing is really about. He's why I turned on this camera, to be honest, because I just can't help, as I watch him succeed with us and play so well with us, I just can't help but think about, how everything went when he was playing for the Houston Rockets, particularly when he was struggling, he couldn't hit a shot, when people were saying that he was out of the league. People were saying that basically, because he can't hit a jump shot now, he can't defend. I mean, he's over the moon. He can't really, do much of anything anymore. If his shot is gone, his game is gone. So can he even be on an NBA floor? Like, where would he fit? I don't know. He doesn't pass. He does. Like, so many different things that were said about him, to the point where it was almost like the public, the general public, some of them were genuinely thinking that Carmelo Anthony, first ballot Hall of Famer, 10-time All-Star, didn't have a place in this league. And I questioned it too because I was seeing how bad he was playing. I remember that's what kept playing back in my mind as I'm sitting here seeing him continue to hit his head over and over again with the three taps because he continues to hit shots with absolute ease here. And I'm just sitting here thinking about how bad he was playing for OKC in that fit, how bad he looked for the Houston Rockets, and how people were saying it was over. And just to see how far he's come, but to also kind of just look at myself and say, man, I don't remember exactly how I was viewing that situation, but boy, to have ever doubted Carmelo Anthony, you know what I mean? To have ever really doubted a Hall of Fame player like that. And look, the reality is you just got to appreciate the fact that he's playing free. He's playing free. There's no pressure for him to be the only guy scoring the ball. There's no pressure for him to kind of find his way all the time because there's no one setting him up. There's no pressure on him to lead the franchise. He's just catching and shooting. And his mechanics are so great because he's been at it for so long with the gift that he was born with, when the work that he's put in on top of that gift, to now it's just like, he's playing with house money every single night. That's how it looks to me. He looks as if his body feels good. He feels like it seems as if his mind, body, and soul is all at a centered space, it looks like to me. And now he's just playing as free as he's ever played. And he's tapped back into that kid again, that very, very, very talented, smiling kid who used to, just kill it with Syracuse. That's who I'm seeing down there is that kid who just could hit bucket after bucket after bucket after bucket and have no conscience and continue to lead a team even throughout the circumstances. This is somebody who the very first image of him I saw was him winning a championship. I had never heard of Carmelo Anthony until I saw the Syracuse championship game. And I heard his name leading up to it, rather, because, just college basketball, they would talk about the hot names, but I'd never seen him play until I seen him win that. So in my mind, I was like, oh, this dude's going to win a bunch of championships. And of course, his career has made it so that, this is his first opportunity to really play for one. And I'm just saying, he has to get it. Like, I don't know what the Lakers are going to do. I don't know what the future holds for this particular year's team, but I gotta see him hoist that trophy, man. He is a champion. He should definitely be able to have that represented in something tangible. You know what I mean? He hit, I think, 8 threes, maybe 7 threes for the Los Angeles Lakers tonight. I think he's shooting over 50% from behind the arc. And they said he was done. Simple as that. They said he was done. They said he couldn't play no more. They gave up on him completely. And I think about Russell Westbrook and his struggles right now, and how it's different for everybody. Everybody's experience is different. Carmelo Anthony's put on this uniform. Everybody's screaming his name. Even though he's not home, he's from New York, from Baltimore. He might as well be, as much as the fans are taking to him, as well as he's playing in this uniform, and as hard as the road has been, it has to feel good. I think about a guy like Dwight Howard and the road that he's had. Being back in here in the Lakers for the third time has to feel good. But I look at Russell Westbrook's experience. He's putting on that same uniform, and it's an entirely different experience. He's not having fun, man. I'm looking at his face. He's struggling. On the court. Now, I don't know, I ain't talking about nothing else but on the court, but I'm saying, like, it doesn't look like he's enjoying himself out there. It doesn't look like he's happy with his performance. It doesn't look like he's confident in his skills, and I'm having a hard time seeing that some of his teammates are having a tough time trusting him. That's what I'm sensing. That's what I'm sensing. It's one of those things where it's like, if Russell Westbrook's struggling and he's in a new situation, so he's playing with new teammates that don't necessarily know who he is, don't necessarily know how to go about trusting him when he's making these kind of mistakes, when he's struggling, it's kind of like a double-edged sword in a way for him, because he's trying his best to incorporate himself into getting these guys to trust him, but he also has to just put his head down and be himself And I think the trying to be aspect of it is what's failing him. I think, and then you couple that with the scrutiny. That's a bit different when you're putting on a purple and gold and you're playing with LeBron James. I just think that this Laker experience isn't going well. I'm hearing people talking about, oh, the Lakers are going to trade Russell Westbrook. I don't think they're going to trade Russell Westbrook, but I'm not ruling that all the way out right now, just looking at how the struggles are, and I know how things can be when people have short time windows. You know, the Lakers have we have to win this year or next year after that. We don't know what's going to happen with Bron. When Bron leaves, AD maybe considers leaving as well. Who knows what he sees for his future. So it's like, we can't afford to let this season just waste away with a bad fit. If there's a way for us to have a championship caliber team, I think it's incumbent upon our front office to make that happen, no matter whose feelings get hurt. And I think that's the sucky part of this entire situation. I don't think Russell Westbrook has the longest rope in the world, even though he has a very serious contract that would kind of make it so that we wouldn't get the greatest return. Unfortunately, we are living in an era where some very high-profile names are on the trade market with the same exact contract he has. And if push comes to shove, I'm pretty sure the Los Angeles Lakers would have absolutely no problem throwing their hand in for one of those players at this time, if we can get one of them. Ben Simmons, Kyrie Irving, those are the names I'm talking about. I don't think the Lakers will do this, but if something like that were to happen, I would not be completely surprised. I may be surprised if Philly were to take that deal. I would be surprised if if that were the case, because I think that we would definitely be winning both trades. But I just wonder how this fit is going and how others are viewing the process of this fit. I know it's early. That's the thing. I do. But I don't think that matters, like I said, when you have the type of window that we're talking about, the type of timeline we're dealing with. You don't care that it's starting off slowly and can work itself into place. You're just looking at the fit and saying, big picture, even if it does get to its best version of itself, can we ever be good enough? And if you think the answer is no, you may trade Russell Westbrook. So I don't know what Rob's thinking. I don't know what the Lakers are thinking. I'm hopeful that they'll just more so work on how we can get our team to a point where we're much better defensively than really addition by subtraction in terms of making a trade like that. I think if we're going to make any type of trade, it should probably be to get a defensive player like a Marcus Smart or somebody like that. That's what we need. We need somebody to help us defensively, and we need that now. I did see some good things defensively, though. You look in the box score, we had some really, really good sequences still in the basketball. Stealing the ball and getting in transition, getting out for good running plays were always helpful tonight. And against a team like Charlotte, I was kind of surprised to see us run as much as we did, because I figured that they would have the edge in that regard with the type of players that they have. But we kept them at bay. You know, we kept bigs on the floor a lot of the time, and we were able to withstand that. Now I know they were missing P.J. Washington, so that made them a little bit undermanned. I think a couple other players maybe missing from their lineup as well. But all in all, the fact that we were able to get out and attack those boards, particularly Russell Westbrook attacking the boards, that was what ultimately did it for us, I think, in my opinion. Now, this game did get to overtime. We had some opportunities to close it out and just did not do so. AD took a shot down the stretch that didn't go for him, but all in all, he hit some big shots in the end as well during overtime. So you just got to give credit to everybody overall for maintaining their offensive intensity, particularly in that third quarter, man. You got to give it up for the Lakers in that third quarter. It was just a bunch of highlights, a bunch of made shots, guys doing great things. Rajon Rondo being very, very helpful. And I told you in this last video that I was very much looking forward to seeing what Rondo was going to look like in these next couple games. Because I'm kind of teetering on the fence of what he can help us with and what he can really do for us. But he was excellent for us before getting ejected, because he ended up getting ejected for a questionable situation where he ended up hitting somebody on the head accidentally. Now, I think on the play where he did that, I think he believed that Terry Rozier was going to be bringing the ball above his head, so he was going to try to swipe down and try to contest it. But Terry Rozier did something entirely different, and thus Rondo ended up coming down on his head full force. They kicked him out for that. for me, it was questionable because it was about intent. I mean, clearly you could see what Rondo's process of thought was. It wasn't like he was angry at the man or that he had been going back and forth or anything like that. He thought the ball was going to go up, so he swung down, and that it just was a bad play for Rondo. Obviously, you want to give him a flagrant 1, but a flagrant 2, not in my mind. I thought that was the wrong way to go. So he ended up getting ejected out of a game he was playing really well in. Even though he hadn't scored, he was getting the ball to everybody. Some of the assists he was making, getting the ball to Carmelo Anthony in his pocket, lobs and things of that nature. He was just really, really helpful for us tonight. So I thought we were a much better team with Rondo on the floor. Let's see. Kent Bazemore. I wish I could have saw more from Kent Bazemore. As far as myself, I really kind of tuned in the second half of the game, so I didn't get a chance to see him play as much. Same with DJ. I know DeAndre Jordan had a fantastic game. I saw that in the highlights earlier. But he didn't play much in the second half, so it was one of those situations where, our coaches kind of tinkering with the lineups and things of that nature, and I thought we did an okay job with that tonight. Ultimately kept everybody healthy and won the game, so what are you going to do? So yeah, I mean, there's more to say, I'm sure, but my mind is just basically telling me to harp back to Carmelo's shooting. You know what I mean? Because without all of his three-point shots, we actually lose this game. It's really that simple. Russell Westbrook had a triple-double, but unfortunately it was minus 17, and that has to do with a lot of the turnovers and things of that nature. The struggles continue, but like I said, we once saw Carmelo struggle too. And you go back and watch some of them highlights from him in Houston, you would really believe he would be out of the league at this point. But great players find their way, and Russell Westbrook just has to find his way. And seeing players instill confidence in him is what I want to see going forward. Without beating around the bush, I just don't feel like AD and Russell Westbrook are on the same page as far as, to me, it looks like AD don't really trust Westbrook that well. And it's understandable because of the mistakes that are being made. It's a lot riding on all three of them to succeed. So I understand that, but I just want to see AD express a little more leadership in the sense of just instilling the confidence in Russell Westbrook. Even though he's making mistakes, we're going to see players make mistakes. Obviously, at that higher level, AD ain't going to make too many mistakes. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. But we all have things we gotta put up with others. And I just feel like when Russell's struggling, the last thing he needs is his center asking for the ball down the stretch when it's time to run a play. I get it. We love to have AD with the ball in his hands for free throw purposes, which I understood, but it shouldn't be a tug of war between the center and the point guard for ball handling duties. That should not happen. And it's just little things like that I notice in regards to those two that just make me feel like AD's not really trusting Russell Westbrook. And I just, I look back at AD and I say, that situation with Dwight Howard didn't show me the greatest leadership there. I just want AD to start developing, proper, and I say proper, but I don't really know how to word it, but start getting that real leadership energy about him. The way that he's trying to lead, I don't think it's real leadership right now. I think what we're seeing is a guy who's in a leadership role, but probably hasn't really been around people to tell him how best to lead. That's what I'm gathering. It's like, just because a guy's a best player doesn't necessarily mean they're the gatherer of troops, that they're the leader. But sometimes when you're in that position where you're the most talented dude and you have the most riding on the line, you're by default supposed to be the leader. But that don't mean that you have them leadership skills. It don't necessarily mean that you want to be the leader or naturally a leader. And I don't know that AD is naturally that leader. He's just very, very talented. And so I want AD to develop the leadership skills, to learn how to be the leader that he wants to be. I don't think that's something that you just inherently pick up just because you're talented. It's something that has to be taught and passed on to you. And if you don't have them type of people around you to help you learn what leadership is, to truly know what leadership is versus what it's not, then you may do the wrong things. And that's exactly what I'm sensing is going on, a little bit of that going on. So I just want the players around AD who are older than him be patient with him, but also let him know, um, where they can see him getting better in those areas, because I know they see it just like I do. As somebody who's a bit older than him, you can just tell. Um, and he has the right intention. He wants to win. You know what I mean? I think he wants to lead. I think I'm seeing a lot of trying from everybody. They're trying to please the Laker organization and obviously LeBron James, and you know that's a big part of it. It's hard to lead when the leader is Bron, but at the same time, it's like Bron's gonna look to you to lead as well, because he has that type of personality in some ways. He's looking to pass. He's looking to see you succeed. How do you say, the best way to say is he thrives off of seeing you succeed. You know what I mean? As opposed to dragging you along and making sure damn well you do what you're supposed to do. It's just very different ways of leadership, and I think the way that AD wants to lead is that drag you type, as I just described, and I don't think that's who he naturally is. So he's gonna have to figure that out over time, and I think he's in the right place to learn those things. But he's gonna have to embrace that he's not there yet in order to get there. So we'll be paying attention to that. AD's still young. That's the beautiful thing about this whole situation. He is the youngster, and amongst all these stars, he's the one that's going to be able to continue his career after this process is over, because most of them are probably going to look to call this the last destination. So with this experience, he'll take it to his next situation, and he will be the leader that I'm discussing right now. He'll be that. So yeah, man, the poise of Austin Reeves, I can't say enough about that kid. There's a lot of poise there. I feel a lot better with him on the floor just in general, both ends of the floor, and that just continues every night. You know what I mean? Little things that he does, putting himself in position that even if he's not effective defensively in terms of stopping the players that he needs to stop, he poses enough of a threat with the various things that he does to where he's so disruptive that it still affects things. It affects things in a positive way. And then when he gets in the open court, he's very, very effective at hitting his shot. He's very effective at finishing. He just makes good plays. So his poise as a rookie makes it so that you feel very confident that he's somebody you should keep on this team for ever, basically. I don't foresee any reason to ever let him out of a Laker uniform, is what I'm essentially telling you guys right now. I don't think he's going to be a superstar, so he's always going to be affordable in some ways. I think we should look into trying to keep this kid for the long haul. I really believe that. There's no reason not to. He's going to always help any team he's on, period. So that's one thing I'm definitely agreeing. I'm definitely thinking about. Yeah, man, that's that. I mean, I could talk about the Lakers all night. At the end of the day, I want to see Russell Westbrook get comfortable. I want to see him kind of ease up off of what it means to be in this situation and just start playing ball again. Because some of the mistakes that he's making, yeah, he makes some of these mistakes regularly, but not to this degree. He's struggling. Like, it's not the level of basketball that he's used to playing. We seen him at his best. Washington, after they had finished the process of learning one another out there, he was on a string with Bradley Beal and those guys. Even though they were the lower Eastern Conference team, they were still a very competitive one, and it speaks to the type of return the Washington Wizards end up getting for him. As good as their team is right now, it's because of how well he played last year. So, and you he can play better than this. It's just not coming together. And look, I keep saying this. I said it in the last game, and I'm gonna say it now. A lot of what's wrong with the Lakers and what I'm seeing, it's just positional stuff, man. It's not effort. It's just where you are versus where you should be. And a lot of that is just coaching stuff. A lot of that is just us figuring out what that actually means and how best to defend these different teams. And I just think we need to start coaching defense a little differently. Guys just need to line up differently. And as I said in the last game, DeAndre Jordan in his situation, and he was just too far away from the basket to be effective. Everything that was happening behind him. Tonight it was something similar going on, to where we were playing out of position in certain areas as well. So it was just like, Just move the pieces around on the board a bit better, Frank Vogel, and I promise you, you'll get better results because the guys are out there trying. You got guys shooting career years like Carmelo Anthony. We shouldn't struggle as badly as we are. We're not as bad a defensive team as we look out there. Some of that stuff is just bad positioning. So I'm looking at Frank, and I'm hopeful that he can kind of reel it in. Something else that happened tonight. Guys didn't keep their cool. It was something that happened. I don't remember what it was besides Rondo getting ejected. But the referees were kind of feisty out there tonight as well. Got a little testy there with a few plays where you just sit there and you say, I don't know if they're really refereeing the game the way they see it, or they just kind of reffing it because they're frustrated with the Lakers. I got a little bit of sense of that, so I don't know. I'm just glad we walked that away with a victory in overtime, and I didn't talk too much about the Charlotte Hornets, but they did lose the game, and LaMelo Ball was good out there. He did his thing. He had a very good game. Saw some good things out of Mason Plumlee, and Miles Bridges hit a huge shot, sending that thing into overtime. The Lakers have once again coughed up a fourth quarter lead with bad decision making by who, and bad defense, of course. But you got to give Charlotte some credit. They weathered the storm enough to get it into overtime. You figure on the road against the Lakers, and undermanned, and they still managed to make it an overtime game. So they're a competitive Eastern Conference team, and I know they're going to stay in the mix so long as they stay healthy. So, yeah, I think I'll leave it at that, man. Happy the Lakers got the victory tonight. We're going to keep it pushing. My name is BDL44. Thank y'all for watching. I'm out.